right, I'd like to
That's going to come back.
call this meeting of the Franklin Tourism Commission to order. And start by conducting roll call. Ed Holford is absent. Sean,
Probably just use the
the
agenda.
The agenda.
Yep.
Okay.
I think you're on minutes.
Yeah, I was on minutes. Sorry about that. Mark Wiley.
Present.
Barbara Westner.
Here.
Jeff Kuderski.
Here.
And Lance Hughes. All right. It is now 6:01, and I'd like to open up the citizen comment period. For any citizens that would like to comment. All right. Seeing no citizens that would like to make the comment, I'd like to close the citizen comment period at 6:02 and move on to approval of our draft meeting minutes from the May 17th meeting. Minutes are in the packet. And
A motion to
approve the meeting minutes. Mark Wiley, do we have a second?
Second.
Jeff? All those in favor of approving the meeting minutes say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Draft meeting minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda is our Engage Franklin board update. And we have both Mark and Daryl here.
Yeah, so
Along with
let me introduce, just make sure everybody
Mark, I'll
understands.
turn it over to you.
Daryl is the president of the board of Engage Franklin. I'm the vice president of Engage Franklin. I'm the representative from the Tourism Commission. Laura is the executive director of the Tourism Commission. I asked Laura to be here because we have a board meeting every month. And the Tourism Commission update every time that we have a meeting. And I wanted Laura to talk about the various things that she's doing, because there's a lot of good news, a lot of good activities happening. And then Daryl, I think, will want to address the commission as well.
Do you have a preference, whether Laura?
I think well, up to you, Mitch.
I mean, if you've got some good news to report, let's hear it.
Since our last update, we have been hard at work with the dollars that you invested. Thank you very much. So to start with an update on the Sports CTA Symposium that you guys sent,
Right.
We had a lot of prospects, but now we have some real live ones that we are in negotiations with. So on top of the Greater Milwaukee Golf Show that we've already retained for 2024, we have two more that are very, very likely to happen. We have Mud Girl that is likely for 2024, and that's up to 12,000. It'll be 10 to 12,000 visitors. It'll be from the area and an estimated economic impact of $5 million for the community. The ink's not dry on that one yet, but it's looking extraordinarily positive to the point where I'm comfortable putting it up here today. The other one is Turf Wars, which is an adult kickball tournament that has been highly televised with ESPN. That one's a couple thousand, but it comes at a time that it's a lot more dry, so it's Halloween weekend, actually.
Of 2024?
Yep, 2024. So that one's looking to be an annual thing as well as the Mud Girl. So those ones are shaping up nicely. So if, assuming all three of those progress as I assume they will be just shy of about $7 to $8 million of economic impact that we're producing just from that trip.
Fantastic.
So, awesome. Very exciting. It's the easiest sales job I've ever had because Franklin is, pristine, new, a great and welcoming community. We have great properties. So it's we also have other groups that are interested. There's U.S. Quad Ball, which oddly enough, it's like Harry Potter's Quidditch, but on land. They're interested. A flag football group. And then, let's hear the Can-Am Police and Fire Games. That would not be until 2028, but that would be something that would require a lot of work, so I'm glad it would be 2028. So those are all the ones that are in the hopper right now, with those two primary ones being immediate, 2024. We've been meeting with people throughout the community and talking about Engage Franklin, which I think is definitely necessary. You guys are all very informed, but the community really needs to understand what a resource it is and why investing in it, right? So some of the meetings that I've had have been with the Conservancy, with Ware Nature Center, with Forte Theater Company, the Historical Society, the Celebrations Commission, who was present at the last meeting, Operation Eagle Soccer. Of course, I regularly meet with Oak Creek Tours and Visit Milwaukee. I've been meeting with Hart Hotels, bringing up the new development over there, the Sleep and Mainstay. So we want to make sure that they come online in a way that makes sense, that we help them fill right away. And then the various other individuals I've been meeting with for the bid opportunity. So we're really active, and we're really trying to, every single one of those meetings that I've had has up with, boy, are we glad you're here. This is what the community needs. I'm so glad that we have a centralized space for community promotion and community information. So I've really focused in those conversations that, yes, we're here to attract visitors, but we're also here to foster a great destination, right? And we're also here to encourage local residents and regional residents to be a tourist in your own town. We focus on what we have right here because it is very special. So everybody has agreed that this is going to be a really good thing, and we're going to utilize one another for cross-promotion. In addition to that, the website is rolling now. So we have, we voted at our last meeting on a contractor. It's iNet. They're experienced, they're fast, they have a ton of asset creation capabilities. It's going to be the most efficient and the most robust website that to us, so I'm excited about that. We're going to focus a lot on the calendar of events and form submission for calendar events so that we have one localized place for all of that in the community. I think that's been a loud and clear message that people want a one-stop shop for what are we going to do this weekend, you know, planning out time for your family, etc. And of course, that'll be an asset. They come for one reason or another to see what else is at that given. So we do have that in the works. Do you remember the collateral piece that Oak Creek provided financially for us that we took to the symposium? I'm reworking that in the meantime, kind of in lieu of, or in the last time until we have a true visitor's guide. I'm reworking that to be a collateral piece that we can have out this summer, because we'll have a ton of visitor traffic, and we just don't have that asset yet, but I feel like I've heard loud and clear that it's needed. So we're going to kind of produce a small version of that to have available in visitor bags. We're also, I just want to say, we're going to have welcome bags with Engage Franklin on it, and we're going to stuff with all kinds of community promotional materials, including that. So we're going to do our best with information until we have a true and website up. And then last but not least, we are focusing on a mobile visitor center sometime in here. We want to wait for the right opportunity. We want to wait for it to be a smart investment dollars instead of rushing into something a little irresponsible. So I've been searching for a lot of different options. We haven't found the right one yet, but it's our intention to have that right option to create that mobile visitor center and have it be the active office. Franklin, placing it where the
The only other thing would be the STAR data.
STAR data, yes,
We
perfect.
authorize that.
Thank you. Yes, authorized. So STAR, you're familiar with STAR, Lance, as our most, I'm sure with your CP background and your chamber background, you're probably familiar with it as well. It's a data company that informs hotel overnight stays, RevPAR, ADR, all the different metrics that you calculate to ensure that you are grasping all the share in your market and ensuring that you're the most successful as a hotel. So I spoke with the STAR company, and we are going to be investing in a destination STAR for Franklin. We're going to start with a weekly trend report because the monthly is more focused on year over year. We don't have that yet. We'll get the weekly report, and we have to wait. There's a 4-property minimum, so we're waiting until the Mainstay are selling and active. And then as soon as that is happening, we're going to have the Hampton, the Staybridge, those 2 properties on there, and we can actively see where our dry spells are, right? The representation so far that I've spoken with from Hampton, from Staybridge, and from Park Hotels, the new development, have said that they'd also be willing to share their comp set properties outside of Franklin. You know, obviously they don't want to do proprietary information, but anything that isn't harmful to their business, they're willing to share kind of like what our share shift opportunities are in the different markets. So I'm very familiar with all of that data, and I really enjoy analyzing it. So I feel like it's going to be a really good opportunity and informative for us and for you guys, because as a destination, we can forecast room tax revenue, right? So we can understand what's going to be coming in, we can understand trends, and maybe not immediately, but year over year, we're going to be able to say like, okay, this is what we can see, you know, per quarter we can anticipate, right? So I feel like that'll be a good tool to help forecast and help us.
I have a question about these events coming up in '24. With the Mud Girls, 10 to 12,000 visitors for how many days?
It'll be a weekend. It'll be
Weekend. Okay,
a
so
Saturday, Sunday.
most likely, so they're obviously going to be overnight stays.
Yes, that's the idea. And so our properties are essentially, you know, it's going to be during a warm weather month, but that's where I feel like we can really prove to Oak Creek that partnering in this realm is a smart idea, because we can control where that overflows. You know, in this scenario, we can say, because Oak Creek partnered with us at that symposium, that we will fill their hotels first. Of course, we'll get food and beverage. Of course, whatever gaps we do have in our hotels remaining will be filled, and we can maximize rate, which will be fantastic. So I feel like it'll speak well to that partnership, and so we can go back to their commission and their council and their staff leadership and be like, wow, that really you know, they produced an economic impact.
And do you project that with the hotels in Franklin and then also Oak Creek, that they will be able to handle that number of people?
If they don't, it'll naturally solve itself. I mean,
They'll go somewhere
it may
else.
leak out, but for the most part,
Okay.
we'll have an active partnership with the rights holder, right, and the marketing of the event. So the properties that we would like to fill first will be the ones that are listed with links on all of the registration. So it's not a state of play or anything like that, like a tournament would be, but at the same time, if the information is in front of the registrant, they're likely to.
Okay.
I'll turn it over. So we've talked a number of times about draft contract, and I know John, there have been concerns that were voiced by the Board of Engage Franklin about where we were at with that. I know Daryl wanted to talk about that.
Yep, a little bit, but before I get there, first I want to say a couple words about Laura. I feel everybody can already feel her enthusiasm, and my perception of Engage Franklin is the tourism industry in Franklin is growing. The number of hotels, it's going to grow drastically over the next few years, and the revenue from that is going to grow drastically, and to invest that revenue as required by the statutes, and having somebody like Laura pursue that rather than, nothing against anybody in this room, but having somebody dedicated to doing that, I think is just a huge asset. And I've been blessed enough to see some of Laura's work in the past in another life. So she's done a great job, and I don't know how we could have anybody better growing the tourism industry in Franklin than Laura. So Laura, thank you for everything you've done. For you, those of you, which I know a couple of you guys, but my role is obviously president of the board, and the reason I'm in this role is I've been a resident of Franklin for 26 years, 28 years, whatever it is. I'm one of the owners of Point After. I have a couple companies in Franklin, Starfire companies, and then my latest, my wife would call me crazy, project is redeveloping the Wolf Preserve down at the bottom of the, right off the River Parkway. So that's going to be one of my things going forward. So, and I love what's happening here in Franklin. I know there's been some contention. I want to be not necessarily a mediator, but I think everybody's heart is in the right place. I think perception is huge in Franklin. Whoever looks at our community page every day knows that. Some people just go way off the deep end on some of that stuff. But I think everybody's heart is in the right place. I think you need to have accountability in the right spot. I think you have to have objectiveness in the right spot. And that's why I decided to do what I'm doing, other than being voted in and being coerced to be in. I shouldn't say that. I voluntarily offered to do it, and I want to make a difference that way and see whatever I can do about the perception. And because I think everybody's heart is in the right place, and whether it's this commission, Engage Franklin, The Rock, Springfield Suites, anybody, the sports complex, the county, I think we just have an enormous opportunity. And as a resident, and one of my big focuses is going to be, which is kind of related to the contract that Mark mentioned, is to make sure that the community knows that there really is accountability, that there really is fairness, and that there really is a thoroughness going on, that it's not one side doing this without anybody else knowing. And I was very upfront with the Engage Franklin Commission and everybody else involved that I'm not the one to play sides here. I know that this is a great opportunity for Franklin, and that's why I'm doing it, and there's no other reason. So, and from the Tourism Commission standpoint, I just see the dollars going forward when we get to a stage where we're going to have 70% of that money going for development or tourism promotion. The other 30% is for the city to do with what they want. And so that's a huge number going forward if you project it 3 or 4 years and all these hotels are full. So from any community members, citizens' perspective, well, wait a minute, we're going to have X number of extra dollars to apply in the budget for general purpose, which is a good thing. I mean, it's just, I don't know how you can say it's not a good thing. So I really want to promote that to the community and make sure everybody understands it, that it's, that there are a lot of positives for the community. And there really are, that from my perspective, no negatives to this. I mean, it's just, so I just want to reinforce that. So that's kind of my role, where I came from, why I'm here. And as far as the contract, I do encourage whatever is possible about making, harsh judgments to push that forward. Because from the city's perspective, now I'm talking as a citizen, I do think there's a little bit of a liability hanging out here without that contract being signed. Just because somebody's going to come in and why is this happening? Why is this happening? We really need the contract to say this is why. And then we can explain all we want, but you know how some people are. They're just going to say, show that to me in writing. So I would encourage whatever the commission can do to expedite that. We will do the same on our side to expedite it. And if that's a special meeting or whatever, we'll do whatever necessary. But I just would feel much, much more comfortable doing it if that contract was in place. So.
And to that end, we have talked about a special meeting and timing that has to go. There's timing on our tourism report that there will be timing once Engage reviews it, and we just need to be cognizant. Laura's been working on some PR stuff so we can stuff the paper, the newsletter. Here's what Engage Franklin does. Here's what the Tourism Commission does. But it's important to keep that preserved.
All right.
So questions, that's in a nutshell. I could talk all night, but that's it in a nutshell.
I think Mark sort of answered my question a bit about how do you propose to communicate this to the community. I will tell you, I just met coffee earlier this week with someone who owns a business in Franklin and someone who lived here for a long time. They have no clue what was going on.
Right.
I tried to tell them what was happening with the tourism and Engage. And I think the message has to be very clear. It has to be consistent among all of us, everyone.
Correct.
And we really need to tell the public what's happening because they don't know. And because of that, all kinds of rumors can start.
Right. And I think we're in a little bit of a vicious circle here. I'm not comfortable doing that until there's actually a contract in place. I'm really not. But we've done a lot of stuff in the background already that we have I would call it a template flyer. And actually, it's not even that. It's much more than that with here's what we think we should say and how we should propose it. And I think it's very important to say what we just said here. Mm-hmm. And I think the newsletter is huge. Some people say they don't read the newsletter. I think a lot of people read the newsletter. So that, the websites, all that stuff. And then if we end up doing the information center, that would just be another means. But once we're all good, go ahead. I think that's extremely important, is let the community know exactly what's going on. And it's got to be done. I'm going to be diligent as far as I can, but I think we all have to be diligent, that we're all on the same page. We're all on the same team, and including the council. I think we have to get everybody on board And I can't imagine from the council's perspective why they would be against it. In which, if you get all of them on board in Franklin, that's, I mean, you can't do any more than that. So that's my goal, so.
Sorry to interrupt. At our last meeting, we also talked about hosting events, hosting an event or two for the community as like a seminar. And, like, here's what we're doing. Here's what we provide. Here are the assets that we're creating. Here's why we exist. Here's what this partnership actually is. I mean, we did talk about that. Well, as soon as we have the contract in place and probably the website done, those will be really great things to basically bring to the table and let everybody know that from this point forward, this asset exists, this asset exists, this asset exists, and all of the front-facing businesses in the community will have a place to put the information, and then all of the rest of the residents and surrounding and visitors will have a place. So we did talk about hosting, various things where we bring the community to us and talk about it, in a very, very positive light.
I think, I don't remember if you said, but partner for the website is.
Yeah, months or so. They'll knock it out really quick. And considering the fact that, well, currently I'm also with John Reagan's help, putting a master list of front-facing businesses, organizations, and assets for the community, which is not a small task, right? So, which is a good thing. I mean, there's so much to see and do, and so many places to eat, and all of that. That's a really good problem to have. So I'm building that out currently, and as soon as that's finished, we're going to go to, publishing that on the website, utilizing that for any collateral pieces that we have in communication, etc. But then also, we'll, that website will be populated initially with that list, but we're going to seek out to do kind of a PR campaign to have other businesses and other organizations and other event planners go to the website to submit forms. If your business isn't on this website, please submit. If your event isn't on this website, please come submit. So it'll start basic, and then it'll become more and more robust. So watch that.
Other comments or Carol?
No, I was going to ask the date on the website if I missed it, but got that covered. Great.
Well, first of all, Daryl, thank you for accepting that position. Go ahead, Jim.
The other thought was for social media sites too. We talked about it. That's important to get out the word. I mean, the community page is ridiculously. But people have to know the
It's
story.
one of the things you look at it, but you're afraid to read what you're going to read. But once in a while, you get some good information, right? It's like,
But there's
We're not gonna
You
be-
just get some entertainment.
we're not going to be that. Some of
but
it's
there's information that needs to be
right.
put out there that
We want to be
this is not
reliable
tax
with
dollars
integrity.
being
With
spent. It's this, and actually we're increasing the tax revenue. So that story needs to be put out.
Yeah.
So I think
For
that's
sure.
another component of this whole thing. Is that I agree. The faster we get this going, it's going to bloom.
Yeah, once we have the website as an asset, that's when we're going to launch the social strategy so people can have a place to go to, right? But yeah,
Great idea.
absolutely, that'll be a huge way to interact with people, not just shove information, right? Have conversations.
Well, they can ask questions that would go right to whether it's
Yeah.
Laura or me or whoever,
Yeah.
without the community giving their answer without having any knowledge of it.
Right.
That's what we're going to avoid. All good information.
Great.
Right. Well, like I say, Daryl, thank you for accepting the position of president and getting involved in Engage Franklin. And I think we all agree that it's the follow-up and the active engagement with the community that goes beyond what a volunteer. So,
For sure.
Laura, as always, and I forgot to thank you for your updates and sending and giving us the good news on what's happening. Franklin, thank you. All right. Mark, anything else related to board updates?
That was what I was looking to accomplish.
All right. We're going into an agenda item that will require us to go into closed session.
And we get kicked out.
Lucky you.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Daryl.
And as far as the contract goes, please, any questions, anything, we're open to
I'll be in
questions
touch
at
with
any
you.
time. Thank you so much.
Looking at discussing finalized approval that delivered Franklin. Do I need to read this first before going into closed session?
Need to read it, need a motion in a second.
All right, read first, then motion, and, all right. The Tourism Commission may enter closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.851E to deliberate upon the Franklin Field naming rights agreement between the Franklin Tourism Commission and Milwaukee Milkman Baseball LLC, effective July 1st, 2020, and a proposed tourism entity agreement between the Franklin Tourism Commission and Engage Franklin, the negotiation of provisions and terms and the investing of public funds in relation thereto for competitive or bargaining reasons, and to re-enter upon open session, same place thereafter, to act on such matters discussed therein. Do I have a motion to enter closed session?
So moved.
Motion by Ed to session. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jeff. All those in favor of entering closed session, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. All right, we are now in closed session. Turn to open session. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, well, I'll grab Mark this time. So we've got a motion made to return to open session, seconded by Mark. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now in open session. And we are an item 2023 budget.
Actually, you should probably read the part about we're going to proceed as directed in.
Activity from the closed session that will proceed with, let it be documented that we, after discussion, will proceed with making a recommendation to the attorney, and those same recommendations, suggestions will be discussed by Mark with the Engage Franklin board.
Right.
Their comment.
Continue negotiations.
Continue negotiation. Good. Okay. 2023 budget process.
Okay, the budget is being developed now, and so departments are pulling together their numbers, and so we should probably be doing the same thing. So we'll be ready, like everybody else is, for the presentations that we make at an October Finance Commission. And while this commission won't be presenting there, we have to present to the council by early in November. I think it's November, but we have to present early in November, or earlier than that. So if we present to them in October, then we're on the same timeline. So it would be good to do. So in July or August, it would be good for us to have the finance department here talking to us about the revenues for Tourism Commission, how they work, what the timing is, and what the reports are that we can get to help guide us. So July or August, do that, and that will help us do our forecasting for our budget. Help us met confidence what we have.
That would happen in August. Is that what you're saying?
July or August, I'll
July
check
or
with the
August.
finance department.
I would say it's too early for make it to July, or that's still viable. Possible.
Yeah, I mean, basically, they're going to just tell us how the revenues and the revenue stream and how their part of the city's allocation of the hotel tax revenue is accumulated and distributed, so to speak, which would be to the city. And so they can explain it to us so we know what to expect, and also we know what questions to ask. When.
Sounds like that's something that happens rather than having it in as possible.
And it'd be a good discussion. So
Good.
it's something, like all financial reports. It's nice to have the written version, but it's even better when somebody can explain all the nuances.
Fair to ask them. By for July date? Or August meeting?
Yeah, we've got a new finance director on, so we need to kind of give her a break, get her on board. One of the staff company her and help her. We should, but like I say, we should be ready to present in late October to the council.
Which means a discussion on those ongoing banners and things like that, figure out what we want to do.
Right, and that's something, you know, that we can take a look at as commission and more project we want to tackle.
So it sounds like then maybe August and September will be good budget creation for us. Be prepared for October 5 week finance helping us.
Yep. That would be very helpful.
Okay.
Very helpful. And it's the finance committee.
So
I'll ask. I'll check.
yeah, voucher approvals. Item number 7.
We haven't got any. We did get a receipt and a thank you from the folks with the Franklin Park Concerts Incorporated. So, very grateful. I suppose they'll be making another request.
Next item, our next meeting.
We need to, agenda item about organization.
For the next meeting.
Put that on there.
I mean, do we need to spell that out as an agenda item?
Do we think so?
Yeah, if you have a specific item you want to discuss.
I don't think it's much.
We need to elect a chairperson.
Yeah, that should be a specific item, elections,
On next week.
because you have a vacancy.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And what does that next meeting look like?
July 19th. Be the third one.
Everybody else? Yeah. July 19th at 6 p.m. Perfect. Does that work for you? Well, 13.
Adjourn.
Okay, motion by Jeff.
Second.
Second by Mark. All those in favor?
Aye.